ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, it is going to be another new movie review. And I am going to be reviewing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the sequel to the original 2016 Doctor Strange. And although original director Scott Derrickson was set to return, he parted ways with the project over creative differences with Marvel. And in stepped the one and only Sam Raimi for his first movie in 9 years. And in the build-up to this movie's release, there was a ton of speculation and rumors going around. Possibly the most that I have ever seen for an MCU project to date. So now that the movie is finally out, the only question left is, did it deliver? Well, we're about to find out. As always with these new movie reviews, this will be 110% spoiler free, so you can proceed with confidence. Before I hop into the actual review itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my new movie reviews, so be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. So the first positive that I wanted to address is the man himself, Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch. We knew right away from the very beginning that this guy was the perfect casting choice for this role. And he further proves that once again here. He seamlessly transitions through all of the aspects of this character flawlessly. He's pompous and arrogant when he needs to be, he can turn on the charm, and he hits all of the emotional beats just right. The man is already one of the best working in the industry today, and this role just further cements his legacy. The next positive I wanted to address is the supporting cast, because they are all excellent. Of course, I will be avoiding spoilers, so I will only be mentioning a few of the supporting characters that we already know about from the trailers. Firstly is Rachel McAdams returning as Christine. Not only is she an amazing actress, but in many ways she is at the very center and the heart of Doctor Strange's story. She was brilliant in this movie once again, just like she was in the first, and I was thrilled to see her return. Benedict Wong as Wong is easily among my favorite MCU characters. The guy is just a joy to watch on screen. He's been sidelined a lot lately, so I was happy to see just how much screen time he got in this one, and he put it to good use. The last supporting cast member that I wanted to talk about is Chiwetel Ejiofor, returning as Mordo. Though I am sad that the end credit scene of the first Doctor Strange didn't really pan out, at least as of right now, I was still excited to see Chiwetel return as the character, and he slides right back into Mordo's shoes and wizard robes like he's had them on since 2016. Now notice how I omitted a couple key supporting characters from that list. And that's because they deserve their very own positive, because I'm going to be calling these two the scene stealers. The first being Elizabeth Olsen, once again as Wanda Maximoff. Because Wanda has been and continues to be one of the most complex, layered, and powerful characters in the MCU. Olsen brings her A-game and delivers an incredible performance. The other scene stealer that I wanted to discuss is newcomer America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez. And if I did pronounce that incorrectly, I do sincerely apologize. I did my research and this is what I was able to come up with. I really dug her character, her backstory, her powers. I thought she was funny, charming, and I really felt for her with all of her struggles and her situation. The next positive is Danny Elfman's score. Look, I am not surprised at all that I absolutely loved this score. Danny Elfman is a master of his craft and he delivers once again. There truly is a little bit of everything in here, which leads to him delivering one of the MCU's most dynamic scores thus far. The visuals in this movie were just plain awesome. They're weird, they're wonderful, they're oh so strange. And they all truly look stunning in typical MCU fashion. I mean, these are big budget blockbuster movies and they look the part. But Doctor Strange for the most part has been known for having the most out there visuals, the weird kaleidoscope looking, mirror dimension, buildings twisting, turning, all of that crazy stuff. It is all present, it is all here, and looking better than ever and weirder than ever. I love the creature design, the various worlds that we get to see, and a lot of the other more insane stuff that I will not spoil here. The horror elements in here were fantastic. It is not a horror movie by any means like some people were expecting, given that Sam Raimi got his start in the horror genre and has directed many great horror movies, and it was said that original director Scott Derrickson wanted to lean a lot more into those horror elements as well, as those are where his roots lie too. But there are some jump scares, there are surprisingly some shocking and violent deaths, and some mildly grotesque and disturbing visuals. I have to say in all honesty that I do truly believe that this is the most uniquely directed MCU project yet. This is Sam Raimi's first movie in 9 years, his first superhero movie in 15, and the man simply doesn't miss a beat. It is a Sam Raimi movie through and through, from the camera angles, to the editing choices, to the action, and everything in between. A very, very different experience from the typical MCU norm. More akin to something like how different James Gunn and Taika Waititi's direction feels. But I really do believe that Sam Raimi takes it a step further, while also still managing to make it feel very much so connected to the greater universe. The next positive is cameos. Yes, there are cameos in here, but I will say that you should definitely manage your expectations appropriately. It isn't cameo city by any means, like so many of the rumors in the build up to this movie may have led you to believe. I know a lot of people, like myself included, were going into this movie expecting there to be like 10 to 15 or more cameos. And that really isn't the case. In fact, it's nowhere near that at all. But the ones that we do get are marvelous, and I loved them. And the last positive that I wanted to address, and actually it's kind of just a further point to what I was just discussing, and that is that in the build up to this movie, I must admit I was a little worried about all of the rumored cameos. I simply didn't want this movie to just be Cameos the movie, fan service galore, and with no real story at all, so personally I'm kind of glad that there actually wasn't that many cameos at all, and instead we get a much more grounded story with deeper and more personal themes. And now for the negatives, because I sadly do have a few negatives with this movie. And the first negative is that this movie is really exposition heavy. It comes in on the shorter side for the MCU, clocking in at around 2 hours and 6 minutes. And look, I get it. There's no real natural way to just kind of seamlessly slide in all of this magical lore. I mean, there are how many books discussed in all of Doctor Strange's experience, and how many centuries or millenniums filled with all of this world building and things like that. There's just way too much to cover. So I understand that side of things, but the exposition just does get a bit too heavy at some points. As well as I felt that it was stuffed with just a few too many coincidences and conveniences. The next negative is that some of the action scenes didn't go quite as hard as I was hoping. Like the Carmitage one that was teased in the trailer, for instance. The majority of the action is actually great. Like, don't get me wrong at all, I did really enjoy the action sequences, but I just feel that some of the sequences had a lot of promise and could have just went a bit bigger. The next negative that I have is that within this movie, I felt that Doctor Strange was sadly a little too weak and underpowered. Sometimes I was just left wondering, where are all of those badass abilities that we saw him pull out during the Avengers movies against Thanos and whatnot? Or even some of the other stuff we saw in the first movie, like the use of the mirror dimension. And the last negative that I wanted to address is that I didn't care all that much personally for this movie's ending or its first end credit scene. I emphasize the first end credit scene because the second one is more of like one of those funny kind of throwaway gag end credit scenes, so it's not really a spoiler because I could be saving you some time, but it's more akin to something like the Captain America Patience one at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, I believe it was. Just something to laugh at, but nothing that's really leading towards anything else. However, back to the negative, and that is the movie's actual ending. It's not that it's like a bad ending or anything like that, and same thing with the end credit scene. I felt that they were just a bit abrupt and kind of shoehorned in there for what it's leading to. At the end of the day though, despite my negatives with this movie, I really enjoyed Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Honestly, I think I liked it a lot more than most people seem to, given what the audience and critic scores are at this point. Yes, there are some issues with the movie, but in my own humble opinion, the positives greatly outweigh the negatives. And so with all that being said, I'm going to be giving Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness an 8.5 out of 10. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my review. While you're at it, feel free to let me know what you would score Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness out of 10. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.